What's up, Deep Thread Sports Network? We're back here with our NFL podcast for Week 9 here in the NFL. We're about midway through the season, so some exciting games coming up. And also, there were some very exciting games last week. We got Jordan on the podcast today. He's stepping in for Logan, so he knows just as much about any of us about the NFL. So he'll be perfect to step in for Logan and discuss this week's games and news and notes around the league. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to jump into our record from last week on our picks. Mine was 9-7, so a decent week. Not as good as my 14-2 week I had a few weeks back, but I'll take it above 500. A lot of upsets this past week, so Logan and I picked on last week's show pretty chalky picks, all the favorites and everything like that. So I'll take 9-7. Both of our survivor picks won. We both picked the Lions. That was probably the lock of the week. I mean, they absolutely destroyed the Titans. So that was they look NFL Super Bowl ready. So that was an easy pick. This week's not so much. So we'll see how that comes at the end here. So that puts Logan at 5-0 on Survivor this year. So like I said last week, follow him if you're in a Survivor league. And I'm sitting at 3-1. So I had a loss a few weeks ago, but we'll bounce back this week. Next thing we're going to jump into real quick is some news and notes that are pertinent to this week in the NFL, and then Jordan and I will discuss them here. First one we got is Jameson Williams for the Detroit Lions wide receiver has been suspended for 2 games, and I read this morning he now has a warrant out for his arrest with a possible gun charge. So not a situation you want to be in with him right now, but we'll see if he can get that resolved.
Is he going for the trifecta, Bryant? The gun, steroids, and gambling?
I don't know, man. He seems to want to dabble in a little bit of everything. The next thing we got is a pretty big news story here. Deontay Johnson was traded from the Panthers to the Ravens. So the Ravens pick up another weapon on offense. Not that they really needed one, but the more weapons for Lamar Jackson, the better. Next note we got here is Anthony Richardson has been benched permanently for Joe Flacco on the Indianapolis Colts. That's pretty bad from his standpoint. I mean, he was a top overall pick. He's just been not playing like he has, or he's drafted to play like. And Joe Flacco was 42 years old out there balling better than he is. So I don't blame him in Indianapolis, but man, that's a tough situation for Anthony Richardson.
Hey, man, when you're tired, you're tired. Take a break.
Yeah, I thought he was hurt, but after the news came out that he just took himself out of the game, I was like, man, what are you doing? You can't do that. Even if you're
Yeah,
exhausted, you cannot do that.
yeah, he just said, I'm done. I've
And
never
so did
seen it before.
Indianapolis said the same about him.
I think the last person that just quit mid-game was Antonio Brown,
Yeah,
AB.
he just said bye, took off his jersey. At least
Yep, he
Anthony
never came
Richardson,
back either.
yeah, at least Anthony Richardson didn't make a big scene like he did, I guess. But he's on the bench right now. We'll see if he maybe come back in at some point this season, but it does not sound like it. Um, Last thing we got here is Stephon Diggs is out for the season for Houston Texans. That's a pretty big blow for them, with Nico Collins being out too. I do know Nico Collins is supposed to come back relatively soon, so that will help. But they do have depth. They had Tank Dell too, and Dalton Schultz at the tight end position, and Joe Mixon was doing well. But this is still a tough blow for them as Diggs has been kind of their solid possession receiver this season. So we'll see how they bounce back offensively after losing one of their better players.
Yeah,
Um,
Tank Dell fantasy owners are licking their chops right now. He hasn't been doing much.
he's had a few good weeks the past couple of weeks, but you think you get more targets, but he's kind of a gimmick player type. He's not going to be your possession guy like a Diggs or a DeAndre Hopkins or anybody like that. So I'm sure they'll have to scheme up more things for him to get him the ball with Diggs being out. But I agree. I think he'll have better fantasy performances and better games coming up. But we'll see. This offense is primed to do just that and bounce back and not take any steps back after losing a receiver like this. But um, losing Diggs is tough nonetheless. So. All right, we're going to move into a piece that kind of surprised us from last week in Week 8, and I'm going to pick first. Um, my pick is famous Jameis and the Browns beating the Ravens at home. Jameis Winston looks like prime Jameis Winston form after his college career at Florida State. just slinging the ball all over the field, making good decisions, using his legs a little bit too. Um, Honestly, losing Deshaun Watson for the season might be the best thing that happened for this team because they looked completely different, and they're missing receivers too. I mean, they traded Cooper. They got a couple of guys banged up too. It seems like James coming in and Nick Chubb coming back at the running back position has really sparked this team. So that was my surprise pick of the week. Let's see if the Browns can keep it rolling because they got to win a lot of games to be in contention for a playoff spot with how they started. Jordan, what do you think your surprise was last week besides our beloved Cowboys and Raiders absolutely blowing it again?
Mine would probably be the Jets losing to the Patriots,
Yeah, that was pretty bad. I don't
which I
know.
love to see it. I don't think Robert Saleh is their problem. Was their problem? I think their problem's that old man at quarterback.
Yeah, Rodgers does not look anything like we're
No,
used to seeing. I know he's old and coming off that injury, but he can't move in the pocket at all. If somebody's not open his first or second read, he basically just, folds up. And getting Devontae Adams on their team really hasn't helped much either. They just look stagnant on offense. I mean, they'd probably be 0-8 if it wasn't for how good of a defense they have. So, yeah, that was a bit surprising because New England is not good. But even with Drake May going out and Brissett coming in, New England wouldn't beat them. So, Jets have a lot of question marks, and I don't know how they fix them.
yeah, I don't. At this point, I have no idea if you can fix them this year. I mean, they're what are they 2-6? They're in a
Yeah,
deep, deep hole, deeper than
yeah,
the Cowboys and the Raiders.
exactly. And I know he's an interim coach, but I don't remember the guy's name I can't. He was their defensive coordinator. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he just looks kind of lost out there being a coach. And they already took the offensive coordinator duties away from Nathaniel Hackett and gave it to somebody else. So they don't really have anywhere else to go. They just got to start playing better. They got decent players, but they just can't seem to put it together. But like you said, deep hole. We'll see if they can dig out of it. All right, we're going to move into our week 9 games here. We got two teams on a bye this week, so we have a total of 14 games rather than the full 16 game slate like we had last week. The two teams on bye week this week are Pittsburgh and the 49ers. Talking about these two teams real quick, Steelers look like they're going to roll with Russell Wilson for the rest of the season. They looked pretty good on Monday Night Football a few days back, so I think a good week of rest with them will help them in multiple aspects. And on the 49ers side, it seems like Christian McCaffrey is ramping up and might be coming back after the bye week. So that's exciting news for them and for fantasy owners that drafted him probably number 1 overall. So we'll see how these two teams come out of the bye week. But our first game of the week is on Thursday night. We got Houston at the New York Jets that we just talked about. It's on Prime Video on Thursday at 7:15, and we got New York is a 2-point favorite at home. So, Jordan, what do you think about this game?
I don't know. I think the Texans, I mean, we talked about them losing Stephon, but I still think the Texans will go to New York and get this done. I mean, how can you really pick the Jets right now? I mean, they're not good and they don't know what's going on in their offense, and they don't have any answers for any of them, and they're trying to fix a bunch of shit, and obviously it ain't working. I think I'm gonna roll with the Texans in this one.
I'm going to do the same. Like we mentioned earlier, I think they can bounce back if any team in the NFL can. I think it's them from an injury like Stephon Diggs going out for the season. And you're right. The Jets are just lost right now on offense. They've been leaning on their defense too much, and those guys are getting gassed in the third and early in the fourth quarter and just losing it at the end. So I'm going to roll with Houston too on this one. I think they get the win tomorrow, Thursday night in prime time. So we'll see what happens with that one. Our next game, we have Raiders at Cincinnati on Sunday at 12. This one's on Fox. As it sits right now, Cincinnati is a 7.5-point favorite at home. So, Jordan, what do you think on this one?
Man, I think I'm gonna take the Bengals in this one just because if they have any shot of going anywhere this year, I mean the window's closing fast and they have to start winning football games, and Jamar Chase is Jamar Chase, and you got Chase Brown. He's playing some good football, and I mean Joe Burrow's playing good football. I know they have some pretty shitty losses under their belt, but I think they get this one done at home, and it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I think the Raiders are similar to the Jets. We have a pretty good defense, kind of like New York does, but we just can't do anything on offense either. We can't find any answers. We traded our best player away a few weeks back, so Aiden O'Connell got hurt too. So the game he comes back and starts after we bench Minshew, he gets hurt. So we're right back to Minshew, and it's the same story. Can't do anything on offense. Last week we had the ball inside the 20 twice against the Chiefs and only came out with 3 points. So unless we can turn it around magically on offense, and the play calling duties are staying with Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator. So I don't see a reason any way we can pick the Raiders this week. Um, Cincinnati will still see if T. Higgins will be back this week. He was out last week. If he can come back, I think it's for sure pick. But still, they got a lot more weapons on offense and a pretty good defense to their own too. So I'm going to pick Cincinnati too on this one. We'll see what happens. Maybe the Raiders can pull one out finally, but I doubt it. And I agree with you. Cincinnati's got something to play for if they want to make a playoff run this year. So I'm going to roll Cincinnati as well. Our next one, we have Denver Broncos in Baltimore against the Ravens on Sunday at noon on CBS. Right now, Baltimore is a 9.5 point favorite at home. I think that line's a little surprising to me because the Broncos have been playing pretty good football.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just don't know if I'll make my pick right here. I'm going to take the Ravens just because after losing to the Browns last week, I think they come in and the offense, getting Deontay Johnson. I think they get him involved with the football, Zay Flowers. I mean, you got the dog in the back, Derrick Henry. What a monster he
He's
is. And
unreal.
I think they just at home. I think they pummel them. I mean, Broncos do have a good defense, and like you said, Bo Nix. They've been playing some good football, but I just don't think they can keep up with the Ravens at home this coming Sunday.
Yeah, I agree with you exactly. I think the Ravens are going to come out with a little bit of fire in their ass after losing last week to Cleveland, and this they got a new weapon in Deontay Johnson, like you mentioned. So I think they're come out on fire. I think this line's still a little high. I'd probably take Denver to cover if we're betting on this game. But like you said, Denver is playing pretty good. Bo Nix is probably one of the better actually rookie quarterbacks this season, minus probably maybe Jaden Daniels. And his stats are actually the best of anybody as far as rookie quarterbacks are concerned. And he has like no weapons on offense, at least on paper. I mean, his best receiver is Cortland Sutton. So um, they have been on a roll recently, but I think they're going to run into a little bit of a gauntlet here in Baltimore, especially with how Baltimore handled last week. And I think they're going to come and bounce back. So I'm going to pick Baltimore as well. So we'll see what happens in that game. Um, Next game here is also Sunday at noon on Fox. It's the New England Patriots in Tennessee against the Titans. Tennessee is a 3.5 point favorite at home. I think it's safe to say this will not be a game of the week, but let's talk about it nonetheless.
Yeah, hopefully they don't even put this one on red zone, man. But give me the Patriots. I don't really know why. I just kind of feeling that one. Hunter Henry, give him the football. Don't give anyone else the football. Give it to Hunter Henry.
Yeah,
They'll put him in the backfield.
I don't know. Ramondre Stevens played pretty good this past week and has a decent season. I mean, I agree with you. Hunter Henry seems to be their only weapon. Um, I think I'm going to roll with the Titans still, though. Honestly, I think actually trading DeAndre Hopkins may have helped them a little bit. They seemed to open up the passing game a little bit last week, even though they got pummeled by the Lions. Calvin Ridley had over 100 yards. Tony Pollard had almost 100 yards rushing. And Mason Rudolph played a decent game. But they just, honestly, that game was just special teams. They could not stop the returners from Detroit at all. Detroit had more points than yards at one point on offense. So I'm going to pick the Titans. I think they're just a little better football team right now, and I think this game will be close. I don't know if anybody will be paying attention to it, but I'm going to roll with Tennessee. So we'll see how that turns out. But I don't mind the Patriots pick, so I'm just going to roll with Titans. That's what my gut tells me. So we'll see what happens. Next game, we got the New Orleans Saints in Carolina against the Panthers Sunday at noon on CBS. Right now, is New Orleans is a 7 point favorite on the road in Carolina. Jordan, what do you think about this?
Yeah, man, this one's tough. I'll probably roll with the Saints, but if betting wise, I'd probably take the Panthers +7. I know the Panthers are a bad football team, like bad, but Andy Dalton's back there now, and I mean, they did just get rid of Deontay, but they're going to get my boy Xavier Leggett involved or whatever you say,
Yep.
and hopefully Chuba Hubbard. I think the Saints do. Like I said, they do win, but it would not surprise me either if the Panthers won. I just don't think the Saints are very good, and that's just because they kicked the shit out of my Cowboys week 2.
Well, they're a different team than that than even from week 2. They were extremely banged up. Um, like I mentioned a few weeks
Rashid
ago,
Shaheed or
they had open tryouts for citizens in New Orleans to come and see if they could play on because they were pulling so many people's up from the practice squad to their active roster. But I think they're getting Derek Carr back this week. It's not for sure, but it sounds pretty promising. Um, but I think I'm going to roll with the Panthers in this one. I don't know why, but they didn't look horrible last week, um, even with Bryce Young, and they're getting Andy Dalton back this week after he was injured due to a car wreck. So um, he obviously has been playing better with that offense than Bryce Young was. Like you mentioned, though, they did lose Deontay Johnson via trade, but I'm just going to roll with the Panthers in this one. They're going to have to come out with the game and sneak one out somewhere, and I think this is a good chance for them to do that just because the situation with New Orleans is injuries. So I'm going to roll with Carolina. That'll probably come back and bite me, but we'll see what happens.
no, I like it, man. I almost took it. It was on the tip of my tongue, and then I switched back to the Saints.
Next one we got is also on Sunday at noon. This one's on Fox. We got Dallas Cowboys at the Atlanta Falcons. And right now, Atlanta's a 3-point favorite at home. So, Jordan, what do you think about your Cowboys?
Give me the Falcons. I hope the Falcons just beat the shit out of them, and they end up firing Mike McCarthy. And we all know that ain't gonna happen because it's Jerry Jones' little puppet. But yeah, give me the Falcons. Don't give me them boys.
Yeah.
Hope they lose. Hope they lose out. Get a better draft pick.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing pretty good for draft pick right now, but
Yeah,
I mean,
they're on our way for a good one.
Mike McCarthy's seat's got to be the hottest in the NFL. It'll probably be like that till the end of the season. And
Yeah, Jerry Jones ain't gonna do shit.
no, he doesn't fire people during the middle of the season. I mean, they rode Jason Garrett for probably 3 years longer than they were supposed to. And I mean, I think they rode Mike McCarthy longer than they probably should have too. But I think Dallas, they have the weapons. They kind of showed a little bit better offense last week, but their defense right now is just atrocious. And they're playing from behind in every game. And it seems like if they even have a chance, it's coming back mid to late game, and they're just not able to overcome a lot of those deficits. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pick the Falcons too. Um, this game could probably go either way. The Cowboys are due for a game to come out and win, but I don't think it's going to be this week. So we'll see what happens.
The thing that really pisses me off with Dallas is I think their head coach their coach that should be their head coach is in Washington now with their rivals, the Commanders. I would have
Dan
loved
Quinn,
Dan Quinn.
absolutely, absolutely. I've heard some things that him and Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy didn't really get along, even though when he was
Who
there, their defense was
who
lights
would
out.
get along? Who would get along with Jerry Jones?
I don't know. Probably his family is about it. That's probably all I can figure. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no kidding. His kids.
It's a lot like the Raiders because if there weren't for this owner that just would not keep their hands out of everything and let the people they hired do their job, it would be so much better. But they just can't. They can't seem to step away. And honestly, the only thing that'll get them to step away is either they're too old to even figure it out or know what's going on anymore. Or I don't know. So we'll see what happens. But
Yeah,
they definitely need to
I
win.
look
But I don't think it's going to be this week.
I looked it up, and Jerry Jones is worth 15 point something billion dollars. Why
Yeah,
can't he? Why can't he just pay someone to come run his football team? Get help, pay me, and I'll come run the football
yeah.
team.
He should be, on a yacht somewhere. He probably has how many thousands of acre ranch somewhere in Texas. Just go hang out there and watch the sunset every night. But he can't
Yeah,
step away. But we'll see. They need a win, like I mentioned. I just don't think it's going to be this week. Um,
no, they don't.
next game
Let
we
them
got
lose.
is next game we got is Miami in Buffalo against the Bills Sunday at noon on CBS. Right now, Buffalo is a 6-point favorite at home.
I'm gonna take the Bills in this one. I know Tua was back. Tua actually didn't look bad the first half of last week.
No,
I
he
mean,
did not.
he didn't scramble and didn't lead with his head, but maybe
Mm-mm.
maybe he's learning.
Yeah, he
But
got
I'm
out
a
of the pocket and slid that one time, and the whole crowd cheered like the loudest you've ever seen there in Hard Rock Stadium.
But I think the Bills get it done. I think Josh Allen's MVP this year. That was my take from the beginning. But they added Amari Cooper, and I think that's a pretty good add. And Keon Coleman's finally linking up with Josh Allen, and I think that's a hell of a duo there. And James Cook can't really beat it. But
Yeah,
Tyreek is due for just an absolute heater on a Sunday, and I'm waiting for it. I didn't draft him in fantasy or nothing, but I expect it to come pretty soon. Just hopefully not against the Bills.
I agree with you. I'm actually going to go with Miami in this game, and that's strictly because I feel like the Bills can never beat Miami. I feel like they always lose to them at least once, and even sometimes twice a year, no matter how good either team is. And I'm just going to roll with that. I think Tua coming back has jump started that offense back to what we are used to seeing, like we saw last year with Achan and Waddle and Tyreek Hill and all the other players they got on that offense. So I'm going to roll with the Dolphins strictly going off history here. It seems like they have the Bills number, so I'm just going to roll with them. I do think the Bills are the better team on paper. Like you mentioned, they're getting a roll in that offense, and they got a new weapon in Amari Cooper a few weeks back. So their defense is definitely better than Miami, but I'm just going to roll with them and see what happens. All right, we got two more games on the noon slate here. Second to last one is LA Chargers in Cleveland against the Browns on CBS. Right now, Chargers are a 1.5 point favorite on the road in Cleveland, so pretty tight spread here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to roll with the Browns on this one. I mean, after last week, they came out with Jameson with fire, and then I forget, is it Cedric Tillman?
Cedric Tillman, yes, two
Yeah,
touchdowns.
he had a hell of a last 2 weeks, and I think that Jameis Winston can get that offense rolling. And I mean, who watches the Browns? If you're watching the Browns, I'm sorry, but you might have a little positivity coming out of it. But Jameson, but yeah, give me the Browns.
I'm actually going to roll with LA in this one. They've been playing pretty good. Lab McConkey's finally getting going. I think they're probably going to get Quentin Johnston back. Dobbins and Gus Edwards have been playing well this whole season. Herbert's looking like, a few years back where he can sling the ball and run an offense with efficiency. I think the Browns just kind of surprised the Bengals. There was no film on him, or the Ravens, I'm sorry. There was no film on him. I think now that the Chargers have a game where they can see what the Cleveland's doing, um, I think they're going to come out with the victory on the road. Now, the Browns do have a much better defense than the Chargers do. So I think it's going to come down if Cleveland can stop or which defense can stop the offense more. And either it's going to be a field position game or probably possibly come down to turnovers too. So, but I'm going to pick LA on this one. They've been playing a little better football, even though the Browns did have that good game last week. So I'm going to roll with them. All right, our last game at noon on Sunday is Washington Commanders at the New York Giants. We got a divisional matchup on Fox. Washington is a 3.5 point favorite on the road in New York. So, Jordan, what do you think about this here?
Man, I hate both these teams.
I know you do.
NFC bullshit, but man, give me the no. I cannot take Daniel Jones here. Give me the Commanders. I think the Commanders go get it done pretty easy handily. Jaden Daniels is probably the best quarterback in the NFC East. I mean, that ain't saying much because he's going against garbage time Dak and Jalen. Jalen's just turned the ball over so much this year. So yeah, I think Jaden goes in there and they get it done on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with the Commanders too. I think they're just an overall better football team. Giants do have some weapons on offense, and they've been getting them going. But Tracy, the running back that's been playing well for New York, might be out this week with concussions, so that'd be big, even though they have Singletary. The Commanders are just playing better right now. That Hail Mary they had last Sunday, I think, will jumpstart them a little bit. And Jane Daniels definitely was not healthy in that game, so he did not use his legs at all. So I think they're gonna roll into New York and I beat the crap out of them in my opinion. They're just a better team and they seem to perform well in any time they play in a divisional rival. So I'm gonna roll with Washington as well. All right, we got four games on the afternoon slate here on Sunday, so we're gonna roll into the first one. We got Jacksonville Jags in Philly against the Eagles at 3:05 on CBS. Right now, Philly is a 7.5 point favorite at home. So what do you think about this one?
Uh, I think I'll go with the Eagles here, but hear me out. I think the Jaguars are not very good, but I think Jaguars at least one or two times the rest of the year have a good win. I think they come out and being an underdog, like it wouldn't surprise me here if they beat the Eagles, because you never know what Eagles show up and
Mhm.
what Jalen if Jalen Hurts is gonna QB sneak 3 touchdowns or if he's gonna throw 3 interceptions.
Yeah, never know.
but
You
but
going
give me the
Jags?
Eagles.
Going
Give me the
Eagles?
give me the Eagles. I'm Saquon Barkley and AJ Brown. They're good, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with the Eagles too. The Eagles have been playing a lot better recently. They've stacked up to a few good games. Their defense is kind of coming into form like we should have seen all season with how many weapons they have on that side of the ball. Um, I saw a stat that the Eagles are actually throwing less and they're playing better. So I think if they keep that going, where they let Jalen use his feet and also hand the ball off to Saquon more, that I think it'll stay better for them. So I'm going to go with the Eagles too. The Jags, they lost Christian Kirk for the season. They just traded their left tackle, so I think that definitely hurts them. And there's also a possibility that Brian Thomas may be out in this game as well. So I'm going to roll with the Eagles. So we'll see how that goes. Next game we got is Chicago against Arizona. In Arizona on CBS, Arizona is a 1 point favorite at home.
Yeah, see, this one's the toughest one for me on all Sunday. I don't know
Yeah, I don't
because
know
I could
either.
see it. I'm pretty well 50-50. I'm just gonna say, take the Cardinals here with Kyler Murray. Get them little legs pumping in there. He's fast once he gets them little
Oh,
things going.
absolutely. I think I'm going to
And
roll
he
with them
looks
too.
he looks weird doing it too when he starts running. He's like 4'11".
Yeah, he's quick, man, and they've been getting the
He
ball to
is.
their receivers. Trey McBride had over 100
Trey
yards last
McBride.
week. Marvin Harrison looked has been playing better since he came back off an injury. So I'm going to roll with the Cardinals. They racked up 2 wins. They wouldn't beat the Dolphins with Tua last week, so I'm going to roll with them. I do think the Bears have a better defense, but it seems like the Bears are either good one week and bad the next. It kind of like we talked about on the last games, which team's going to come out. Like with the Eagles, we don't know which team's going to come out. It's the same with the Bears, so I'm going to roll with Arizona in this game too. Next game, we'll have a divisional matchup. We got LA Rams against in Seattle against the Seahawks at 325 on Fox. The Rams are actually 1.5 point favorite on the road in this game. So, what do you think about this one, Jordan?
I think, well, I'm filling in for Logan this week, and everyone knows he's big on Sean McVay.
Hmm.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Seahawks this week, and I think Geno Smith gets it done at home.
Oh, that's ballsy. They're getting Metcalf back this week, though. So, I mean, they're going to have a full offensive slate to try to attack this Rams defense. But I'm going to go with the Rams. I think them getting Puka and Cooper Cup back just kind of jump started them. I mean, they beat handily the Vikings last week, even though it was at home. They looked like the Rams from week one in previous seasons where they're just so dynamic on offense. They may have probably one of the best running backs in the league, and he's an absolute workhorse. So even though Seahawks are fully healthy on offense now, it seems like I'm going to roll with LA on the road in this game. Our last game of the afternoon slate is Detroit Lions, also a divisional matchup here against Green Bay in Green Bay on Fox. My opinion, this is probably the game of the week, at least on paper. Detroit is a 3.5 point favorite on the road against Green Bay. So, what do you think, Jordan?
Yeah, I agree with you in the game of the week. I will be watching this one, and
Absolutely.
I like both teams. I know Packers own the Cowboys in the playoffs, but we ain't gonna go down that path. But
Mm-hmm.
give me the Pack. I just
Pack?
Jordan. Hopefully Jordan Love comes out and he does Jordan Love things with Jaden Reed, and they've been getting Tucker Kraft involved a lot, and he's been having playing some very good football. And Josh Jake, I mean, they're good. I just don't know if you can bet against Dan Campbell though. But hear me out. Let's go with the Pack, baby.
I'm going to go with the Lions. Like I mentioned earlier, I think they're probably the most Super Bowl ready team. At least it seems like, from an eye point standard. But you know, the only reason I really didn't want to go with the Packers is Jordan Love may be injured. I don't know if he's going to play this week, but Malik Willis looked good earlier in the season when Love was out. these are two pretty good teams. I just think the Lions are playing better football right now, so I'm going to roll with them and just kind of roll with the hot hand here. So we got two opposite opinions on this one. We'll see how it turns out. Our last game on Sunday is on Sunday Night Football, NBC/Peacock. We got the Indianapolis Colts against the Vikings in Minnesota. Minnesota is a 5-point favorite at home. So, Jordan, what do you think here?
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with the Vikings here. Man, I haven't watched much Vikings football this year. I usually turn it off when I see them coming on, but just Justin Jefferson and who's their running back now? I don't even know.
Aaron Jones?
Oh, it is Aaron Jones. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, he's a little banged
Yeah,
up, but he's been playing better.
I think after Colts bench Anthony Richardson and they go in with a grandpa playing, I just don't know how their offense is going to handle that. So I'm going to go with the Vikings here.
Yeah, it seems like the Colts play better with Flacco, but I'm going to roll with the Vikings too. They've had two straight losses, one a tough game against the Lions, and then last week against the Rams. I think they're due for a bounce back game. This is a perfect get right game for them. Indianapolis has been reeling, even though they're bringing in Flacco. I still think Minnesota has much better intangibles on both sides of the ball, so I'm going to roll with Minnesota too on this one. So we'll see what happens. I think they're back for a get back game. I think this is a perfect opponent for that. Our last game is on Monday night. We got Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Kansas City against the Chiefs on ESPN 7:15. The Chiefs are a 9-point favorite at home. So, Jordan, what do you think about this one?
Man, I don't want to say it.
Don't want to say it?
I do not want to say give me the Chiefs.
I'm picking them too.
I
Honestly,
can't believe it.
you know how I
Now,
absolutely despise the Chiefs, and I know you do too. But
if Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are playing, I'm
it'd
going
be
with the
much
Bucs.
it'd be a much tighter game.
But give me the Chiefs. I hate to say it, but I will be cheering for the Bucs. I will promise you that.
I will be too. Absolutely agree with you there. But I think the Chiefs get DeAndre Hopkins involved finally this week after learning the offense. They probably have the best defense in the National Football League. So I'm going to roll with Kansas City, and they always play better at home, and especially in primetime games. I agree with you. I think if the Bucs weren't so banged up on offense, this would be a different story. But Baker's been playing really well all season. Cade Dotton is kind of emerging as one of the better tight ends in the league. But I think the Chiefs will be too much at home. So I'm going to roll with Kansas
Yeah.
City as well.
Where'd Cade Otton come from? It was like out of nowhere.
He's been
And
on the
that's
team
all
for
you
3 or 4
heard.
years now, and he always had, one touchdown. Probably it seemed like every 3 or 4 weeks, but now he's like having two in a game, and
Yeah.
he's
Now
running
he's
good
just
routes, and he's
hammering
always
it.
wide open. So we'll see. I think Tampa Bay definitely has a chance, but the Chiefs are just loaded, on defense, and
They are.
they'll have every answer for them. So we'll see what happens. So that's our games for the week. We're going to roll into our survivor pick real quick before we finish the show here. I'm going to roll with the Eagles. I think they keep it going. I think they're going to keep it rolling this week as well as they've been playing recently. They are playing the Jags, and we mentioned during that game that the Jags are pretty beat up. So I'm going to roll with Philadelphia. So, Jordan, what do you think?
Oh, man. Let me look here. Hell, it just started off Thursday night. Give me the Texans.
Texans, huh? That's a good one. Usually you want to try to pick bigger favorites, but you're picking an underdog for a survivor pick. That's ballsy.
Taking an underdog. I just get Tank Dell involved, score some points. They've been just getting a lead, and then they just ain't stepping on the gas pedal.
Yeah,
But here we are, picking
we'll
them
see what
in
happens.
Survivor.
Yeah,
But
we'll see what happens. Well, that's our NFL show for the week, everybody. So I appreciate Jordan for coming in, stepping in for Logan. So exciting week coming up. There's some good matchups. We talked about what our game of the week probably will be with the Lions and Packers. We'll see what happens. I want to thank everybody for listening on the show. Also want to thank Jordan again for hopping on and talking football with us here. So, like I mentioned in previous weeks, like, subscribe to everything, all of our YouTubes, TikToks, Spotify, all the above. And like we've been posted on Facebook, we have a Tumblr giveaway coming up. So pay attention to that. In the meantime, I want to appreciate everybody for listening. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
peace.